Hey, everybody, welcome to Anatomical Gangster Podcast. I'm your host, Sue Hitzman. And today I have the honor of diving into the world of structural muscular therapy with John Adams. He's the founder of the Fix Therapy. For 19 years, John has worked as a Florida licensed muscular therapist, specializing in soft tissue therapy to help clients not only eliminate pain, but rediscover balance in their bodies. What if the pain you've been dealing with isn't something you have to tolerate? I mean, wouldn't that be amazing that it can actually be alleviated? What if your body as a whole system is designed to heal itself? If only it was given the right approach. Well, many of us accept discomfort as inevitable. Actually, my clients will say this is my normal pain, which kind of drives me bananas because there's no such thing. So people end up popping painkillers, they modify their movement, or they just simply push through it. But what if the key isn't just treating symptoms, but aligning, integrating, and restoring the body's wholeness? That is what we're going to talk about with John today. So I ask you, how often do you pause and truly listen to your body? Have you ever wondered if your pain is more about structural misalignment than wear and tear? And how do unconventional therapies reshape our understanding of movement, injury, and healing? I want you to join me today as we explore the mechanics of pain relief, the art of muscular therapy, and the deeper connection between awareness and healing. You might just walk away with a new perspective and a sense of possibilities you didn't even know existed. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation with John Adams of Fix Therapy. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on Anatomical Gangster Podcast. Really nice to make your acquaintance. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to be here. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, well, I know you're in Florida, as am I. I'm over in Naples. You're over on the East Coast, am I right?
East Coast, yeah, where we see those shuttles go off all the time right by Cocoa Beach.
Right on. And you are the owner and founder of the Fixed Therapy. And I also see
Yeah.
that you're a muscular therapist. Just to give me a little bit of an introduction to who you are to get this going, tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got here with all of the education you have behind you.
Yeah, 25 plus years of, or 20, about 25 years of therapy in the industry. Um, was flying planes before this and, you know, basically just had flying was a passion of mine. That's where I went from. I was flying airplanes before I was driving cars, and was going like full route towards the airline pilot thing. And, went through school all the time with having like a little issues with reading and writing and the ADD type of things, um, which led me into this field, because flying, it became a lot more apparent in the sky. It was, I got my license. I can fly any single engine airplane, and I'm proud of that. And went all the way to my instrument training. But in the air, I ended up making too many more mistakes than I would like, and didn't want to have the responsibility of kind of flying big old jets with tons of people behind me. So um, I ended up back into college and went through a program called vocational rehab, which qualifies you to basically be in a job, or they help place you through school. It's a government funded program. You have to have mental or physical disabilities. I went through psychological testing, and they qualified me to do anything that was hands on. And basically, didn't really know what to do. Happened to be working on a friend's, I say working now, but I was just mushing on her shoulders, and she's like, "You should be a therapist." And at first I was like, I don't think guys do that. That's not a guy type of thing, because I still had the same type of image, which I think, yeah, we're fighting today in the industry of what that word massage means. Um, and ended up touring a school. It somehow set some seed, and I started hearing a commercial. I started seeing it. I saw it everywhere. And this one commercial stood out to me and ended up being the school I went to with a full scholarship because of the uh, vocational rehab. And I have not stopped since. That was in 2000. And I
And
love it.
so back me up, because I think these are really inspirational touch points, because I'm talking now to a lot of 20-year-olds in this day and age who I think are having a hard time taking flight as adults. I always say there's like a little bit of a adulting that 20-year-olds are having trouble with. And so you're saying you kind of started out as a pilot, and then suddenly there was this change. How old were you in that change where suddenly you took a different road because of understanding ADD, ADHD, et cetera?
I was in my 20s. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was 21 at school when I was in school. So I was in my 20. I was just 20 when that when 19, 20 when I got in a did get in a bad car wreck that prevented me to go back to school too. So it was one of those also. I mean, I could have gone back and all that stuff, but it was like, I ended up. So that was around that time. So yeah, it was a major decision to do this and make this shift. And um, then once they were like, hey, we'll pay for your school if it's, I had to go through like 3 days of psychological testing. And they're
Mm.
through that testing, they're like, well, you're probably going to be best hands-on,
That's
something
great
that's
though.
hands-on.
Yeah, when you actually realize like where am I going to be able to produce an outlet for myself to actually thrive as a human being with something I am good at. And I think that's great when somebody's actually saying, "Hey, because of these things that you have, this would be a very great thing." I think that that's a lot. I can think of friends who are can build in their construction and they do so great with that, but ask them to read a book and it's not so much. So I think, that
Yeah.
is a beautiful thing when you are somehow led to the things that are going to make you thrive. I'm curious about the fixed therapy because you guys have a great approach. I have your website pulled up here. You guys do all
Yeah.
sorts of things: mild hyperbaric oxygen therapy, LED light therapy, far infrared saunas, and then you even have cupping methods. It looks like you really have a wide kind of a menu for your
Mhm.
facility. So, what led you to develop the fixed therapy approach? And maybe was there a defining moment or experience that shifted your understanding of what you define as muscular therapy? And maybe you could define that too for us.
Yeah. So, in back, like since the beginning, right? It was the always went to the school and kind of like was in the program where I was doing massage, and then my first office was in a gym, and I would be there. I was also at the same time working as an employee at a chiropractor's office, but that same day I went to everywhere I could possibly go to get an office because I knew I wanted to be kind of on my own. Um, but being in the gym and kind of going I was in that gym for many years, but before that I was, struggling with, hey, I'll do a massage on you, and just realizing that I had a different image of that word
Mm.
than what most people do. And it took a while to realize that, like, if I just changed my approach, my intro to people, because it was like, oh, hey, I could work those traps, or I can work that out, and I would have a chair. I'd be there shaking hands, trying to figure out how to help people. And I would always be available at the gym, but I would hit a wall of, well, I do massage. And then it was like, I had to then defend myself and try to say something else to get them to, after I said, well, I do massage, but I don't do that. I do this, I do this, I do this. And it led me into going into, well, my first company was Adam's Muscular Therapy. And then just by saying that I do muscular therapy, in the sense of what I feel like that is, and the therapeutic aspect of it versus a day spa aspect of it, um,
Mhm.
that word alone was a word that people didn't recognize or have ever gotten, right? They go get a massage, they don't get muscular therapy. And it intrigued the next question of not me having to defend the word, not to say that it's a bad word. I'm just saying that in other people's eyes, and what I'm trying to the therapeutic aspect of what I'm trying to do sometimes aren't the same. So
Yeah.
by saying muscular therapy, they don't recognize it. They didn't see it in the news. It wasn't something that is, they did it on cruise ship or only on their birthdays. They were able to go, well, that sounds like something I need. I actually have problems with my muscle right here. And it allowed me to go, oh, well, let me show you what I can do in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Let me get you on the table. Um, and it just opened the doors there to allow um, me to see a clientele that would automatically put up walls with the word, if I said the word massage therapy. Now, I did that for many years of just doing massage and breath, but as soon as I switched to that muscular therapy in the therapeutic aspect of the type of treatments that I like to do, changed everything. So
Can
I,
can you define the difference? Like how would you define the difference between, because I definitely have like my own theories of like what you're doing and then this like basic thing called massage therapy, which is to me lay there and take it, and your nervous system doesn't really make much adaptations. It's nice. Most people will fall asleep in a massage, but what you're doing is not that. So give people a little bit of like how you would compare, contrast what you do to general massage.
yeah, it's such a great question. Like I run a massage school, and I'm in right now. I'm in my one of my little my office, and the clinic is going behind me. And what goes on in this room is different than what goes on in that room, but it's almost taught the same. It's just I would say the approach that we take is a little different. That we keep you fully clothed, unless we need to say, hey, we need to do some cupping or scraping or something like that. And either that would be exposed in that targeted area, or we'll say, just undress from the waist up or whatever we're working on. But your first session with me is basically fully clothed. Therapeutically, I'm not like it's an assessment the whole way through versus a soothing, flowing session, I guess. I would say those are big differences. Um, the that's my approach is more clinical than it is relaxation, but you get extreme relaxation toward it. But I'm not there to make you fall asleep at all. Um, in fact, learning how to relax is our motto, but it is extremely important that's like my entire company is based on that. The ability to perceive relaxation in
Yeah,
both.
in a world where most people don't. I mean, I always say people are so stuck in flight, fight, freeze, or please. They're so constantly in a stress state and they don't even know that it's happening. But
That
you're
is it.
sitting there talking to them and they're like, I don't know, my shoulders are killing me. I just can't even understand it. My neck is always hurting. And I'm like, my neck hurts looking at you. Can you relax your shoulders? And they're like, huh? Like, relax your
Yeah.
shoulders. And they'll go, oh,
Yeah,
right.
but to get them to tell their shoulders to relax is the key. I mean, the fix is so I was doing traditional it's kind of like brainwash during school too. I mean, like you do 1 hour, you do this way, then you do it that way, you do this,
Mhm.
and then you flip them over, blah blah blah. You kind of get like, oh, am I allowed to do this and that? You kind of so it took me a bit to kind of break that habits of kind of do my own thing. One, I know even with my wife, I'd get the table out, she'd get we work on it for an hour. And then it was like, once a month we'd do that. That's all kind of ingrained once a month and whatever. So I put her on the table. I one day it was just I kind of like, hey, just lay across the bed. I work on you, real quick. Did this little stretch thing and kind of just worked on her and just moved things around and just felt. And she was like, oh my god, if I can
Mm.
get that once a week, I wouldn't need an hour once a month. And I was like, a light bulb kind of like, yeah, like I have this client that I'm working on the same habits that come in once a month because they're not connected to their body, they're disassociated to those habituary habits that they have that cause them to be this way. If I could stay on top of that once a week and do this. So we created a 20-minute session that allows somebody to come in, not for just the relaxation spa stuff, but for just to get connected again.
Yeah, it
And
almost sounds like neural reprogramming that you're doing, right? So
yeah,
not just the mind, but reconnecting the mind and the body. So
yes,
how has your perspective? It sounds like it has changed quite a bit from your onset, which I think a lot of people do when you go to massage therapy school. You get very brainwashed. It's it's like it looks like this, and then you have a client, and you're like, it doesn't really look like that. It needs to look some other way. So how has your
yeah.
perspective on pain and healing evolved because of this light bulb moment of less is more, and maybe we need to do things more often in a shorter burst of time rather than doing these long sessions?
Yeah, so so we just once we kind of implemented this new approach, and then then clients that go, you could come in once a month for that, but I would like to see you like occasionally. We kind of switched our marketing in a sense. I'd rather see you for a 20-minute session than an hour, just like you just said. And by doing that, we got results were flying. People were getting better, pain is disappearing quicker, word of mouth is getting out there. I mean, it is phenomenal in the sense of treating them where they're at, but also helping them just connect. That connection of, well, subconscious body, the body is your subconscious mind, or just connecting to consciousness, period,
Mhm.
is everything. And it is the first, I believe, the first step to healing anything. Many years, I've been in this for a while, so I've got to renew my license like everybody every 2 years, and I've taken courses and classes with some of the best, and they're phenomenal, and I use them all in my tool belt. But what I've found that people, if they don't perceive how to relax, like you can pick somebody's arm up and it'll just stay there, and you're like, what?
What are you
You
doing,
real?
dude?
Yeah, like, what? Why is your arm in there? And they're like, what do you mean? And it's the weirdest thing as a practitioner to
Mhm.
go like, you do know you don't have to do that, but I don't. We emphasize on that, and I call them subconscious contractions or holds, and
Yeah.
it's that pattern that keeps them in the loop of pain and needing this over and over again. So if we can teach them right then and there to tell them, when's the last time you told your arm to do nothing while moving, right? That is it. That's the fix right there. If I can get you to consciously tell yourself to do nothing
Mhm.
while we are moving you, then you can now do it when you're not on the table. We're empowering these clients when they leave the table to go, oh wait, it
Right.
it's
Chill the hell out, people. And I think
yeah,
that's a big message you're talking about, John, because I always say to a lot of my clients who are in pain, they've almost become so either oversensitized or desensitized. They are zoned out of their body. They are actually not in their body at all. And I know that must sound weird. Well, of course I'm in my body, but on an energetic level, no, they aren't. They're
right.
so tuned out of it either because of pain meds or they've just learned how to deal with the same pain. It's like it's like when somebody leaves the fan on in the bathroom and that sound, I'm like, God, that drives me bananas. Turn that thing off. Why is that thing still on?
Mm-hmm.
But that's it, is some people are just so untuned to their bodies that they really don't realize that you got to get in your body to get out of pain. And that's what it sounds like your philosophy is as well, is get people in
Absolutely.
there, draw awareness, attune them. This seems sensible. So now I know that your focus is on structural alignment and integration. So what does that actually look like in your practice? Kind of maybe walk us through a case where this method made a really profound difference.
Okay. Well, I- we start with a just basically at the interview is where we start too, right? That intake process of getting people to just make sense of why they're in pain. Um, we have gotten clients that are coming in because they just woke up with extreme back pain. I don't know, I just woke up with this and it hurts, and it came out of nowhere, and there's something wrong with me. And it's like, all right, that's not normal, right? You don't just you don't sleep and wake up in pain. That doesn't make sense. We need to make sense of this. Um, and then they don't even know right then and there. So we like to do this intake with them, figure out where they're at, what their association of pain is, what they think pain is. All right. And then we do a table posture analysis. It's different than standing, right? We want to see what you think relaxed is. And that shows all kinds of nice little patterns, right? What their body looks like. You can see those patterns, right? Then we just release a lot of those patterns by like checking the ankles, checking the knees, seeing if they can let that body be worked on. If there's any, you'd be surprised on how, you may not be, but whoever's watching, there are people who lay on the table and their butt cheeks are clenching so hard,
Oh
and
yeah.
you're like, what the freak? Why are you doing that?
Yeah,
They
unnecessary
have,
tension compression mismanagement, right? They are
yeah,
so good at managing tension and compression. They just like are in it all of the time. Yeah.
yeah, it is red, right?
Yeah.
It is a car that is on idle or going, never off. So we're kind of taking that key out of the ignition and helping them kind of understand that. But once by them releasing, so we had this guy who came in, he had the back pain, like I was saying, just hurt, everything hurt. He was in like an 8 out of 10, just didn't know where it came from. And I'm like, well, what'd you do? Nothing. I just wanted to do this, like nothing. And then go to work on him 5 minutes, 10 minutes into him. I'm like, what'd you do 3 days ago that you haven't done? What would cause this? Maybe you picked something up, you twisted something. just to tap into, like, as we're working on him, right? He lifts his head up and goes, I went to a golf tournament. I probably did 1,000 golf balls. I
But a
haven't done
minute
this. And
ago, I didn't do anything.
and
Really?
it's like, and it, but once he got worked on, it opened up he calmed down a bit. Pain
Mhm.
wasn't so dramatic. He was able to kind of make sense of it, and we made sense of it, talking it out. And then before he left, he had no pain. He was the 8 to 10, whatever he was, the pain scale had gone because there was a reason. There was oh yes, that makes sense. People who paint their rooms or kids' room or their college dorm and they do that, and 3 days later so I'm like, yeah, you went and worked out. This is normal. But they don't associate pain. It's just red. They look up Google and now they're,
I
it
must have
works.
a herniated disc. That's what it is. I'm like,
Yes,
oh boy.
yes,
One of the things I talk a lot about is that, we all know what acute pain is. Like, you hit your hand with a hammer, you bash your head on a corner of a, cabinet, or you get into a car accident and fall down a flight of stairs. You got an identifiable source. I know exactly what happened. On the other side
right,
of the spectrum, we got the chronic pain people, usually associated as a side effect from a disorder or a disease or an injury that didn't heal right. But there's this huge gray area I call sudden chronic pain. And that, John, is what you're talking about here is I went to sleep perfectly healthy and I woke up and I can't turn my head to the right. I slept funny. And I'm like, what do you mean you slept funny? Were you listening to comedy while you were sleeping? Were you in a dream of comedians? I mean, what is it? And most of it is just accumulative tension, and the body's time over tension overload meter has just kind of gone to the other end. But the living experience, our bodies are so repetitive that we don't even realize that repetition is the blessing and curse of so much of our functional makeup. It's what makes a athlete great at what they do, but
exactly,
definitely what
exactly.
causes a lot of pain, right?
Yes, yeah. So, we teach the students and I tell, like, it's, pain can come from two sources. It's either weak or overuse. And you can
Well
kind of
said.
find it, either way, you're gonna find something or in the middle. Now, there's always exceptions to the rules. But if you have people that are coming in and it's chronic or and the other thing too is, like, we have a lot of built up, we said it's conscious, subconscious. We store things in these muscles or are just emotional sponges. And by working on certain areas, you may be bringing up certain emotions or
Mhm.
traumas and things that you work on. And people don't realize that that stuff in there. If we could just get people more body work, we would have a healthier world. It's
We
crazy.
would, we would. I agree. And if you're waiting for your health insurance to do it for you, I can
Not going to
only
happen.
just say it's not going to happen. Exactly. The physical therapy world today, my mom just had a second surgery from a botched femoral surgery. She got a hip replacement. And the physical therapy, I do this quoting thing because I wouldn't call what they're doing physical therapy. It's basically, hi, Linda, let's stand up, sit down, let's watch you walk. Okay, sign my paper, bye. And I was like,
Yeah.
she was here for 8 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm putting my mom through the ringer, making her walk clear across her apartment, doing resistance training, trying to build her strength back up. And I think if if that's what people think physical therapy is once you get injured, no wonder so many people have recurring pain symptoms because they are never getting to the root cause. They're just doing some boxed idea of like, here's how we fix it. And it's not even that they're looking to fix it. They're just doing a thing because that's what insurance pays for.
Well, you're 100% right on that. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of physical therapists would like to be in that position, but and there's some great ones out there that don't,
Of course.
they kind of do their own thing, but they're, it is kind of turned into this, I'm not helping you, I'm helping your a hip surgery, right? Not your hip, right?
Right.
Like I'm helping a hip or a frozen shoulder or a rotator cuff. And I do these 7 things for the shoulder. Now you have a shoulder, I have a shoulder. We have the same somewhat anatomy, right, of a shoulder, but what your shoulder went through and goes through in life, and then what mine went through, totally two different things. Two different ways that shoulder has moved through life, operated, goes through emotions, goes through physical things. It's too much that we look at just the pulley system, right? Physical therapy is a lot of the pulley system
Yeah.
connecting the, like, just anatomy, nothing emotional, nothing attached to it. Why they're in pain for so long, how long has it been there? It's just either weak or it's not, or it's, pain, like I said, is usually sometimes associated with weakness or overuse, but there's patterns in there as well. And you can't, if you just could strengthen it, it would fix everything. And that's not the case. A lot of people don't go through there and get great results. I think we are not treating people, we're treating uh, CPT
Symptoms.
codes and insurance and
Yes.
this and that, and just getting them through because we're running a business, and that's even harder, right? So, I mean, we've kind of put ourselves in this position where we're not treating people. Why we're treating people? We're treating symptoms. We're treating uh, based on what I can get from an insurance company, and that's unfortunately it's a vicious cycle that we're in, and
It is.
yeah.
It is. We're not really helping people in that regard. I think you and I are helping people because we're actually getting to some root causes. And I want you to, we're going to challenge a little bit of the conventional thinking on pain and healing, because I really believe that there is a growing interest in I don't even want to call it alternative therapies. I like to think of what we do as complementary therapy alongside mainstream medical approaches. So, what do you
Absolutely.
think is missing from the conventional treatment methods to what you're doing? Where's the gap there, and how do we bridge that gap to get the idea away from alternative therapy and into complementary therapy with medical mainstream approaches?
Yeah, that's real. I love the not making it an alternative but complementary. It's something that is like in Florida we have to. I'm running a massage school. We have to take anatomy. We have anatomy, physiology, medical errors, human trafficking. We've got to run these students through a whole list of things. They're over 600 hours of training. They're required to get a medical license. They're governed just like any doctor, chiropractor, physical therapist, as seen as a medical provider by the state of Florida, but not necessarily, but is in the category more of holistic health, alternative health, but not in the we have to do all the mainstream stuff where you would call your chiropractor, you would call your doctor to come in and go see, but you won't call your therapist to get worked on for these minor things. Of course, if it's an emergency, you're not going to call us, but for other things you would, like my shoulder hurts, I have a headache, blah, 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 blah. My hip is acting up. Is it sciatica? Come see us. Let's see if we could help you. We are educated and trained to help and see these particular issues and make sense of them. Versus, well, a lot of what you're going to go get treated is less touch, more
Yes.
pills, more needles, more this and that, versus let's just work it out a little bit and see if that is, maybe you just need a little bit of TLC in that area, maybe some range of motion, maybe it's overworked, maybe you got too much going on in there, or we can assess the body in ways to help people. The why, why aren't we looked at as that type of
Yeah.
the
Well, I
image
think,
of what
go ahead.
of what we're doing, and like, a lot of the reason I wanted to get into massage school is the image of the word massage. Like we are, like, again, I'm teaching massage school, but I fight the word massage every day. Um, we know what that word means in the sense, but the general public doesn't. So we need more research, more speaking into big areas of people for health and wellness, and just be out there with maybe a new term like muscular therapy, manual therapy, these type of things that people aren't going to go and only see it as something in news reporting good stuff for us. And if you watch, if you see it on TV, it's usually not good, right? It's usually somebody making a joke of, or something, it's sexual, it's sensual, so we need a better light, we need a better portray to the general public, because once somebody comes in and gets worked on, they're like, why, how come my doctor didn't send me here first? Why is this the last place I went to?
Yeah,
You
because
know,
that's not what
how come in
doctors know about.
how come in 2 sessions you were able to help me where, okay, my dad is a great example of this, and I don't know how it took this long, but this is crazy. He spent 2 years thinking he was going to die, had many x-rays, thought he had cancer, had tests, but think about how much meant, because he had back pain that turned into, it could be possible cancer. It was the sciatic, it was this, it was that. Maybe you need fusion in your back, right? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Dad, why don't you come in, get worked on? Let me work on you. For some reason, I think he had a different image of what worked on means. I don't know what he like getting undressed or whatever. Like he felt weird or something. I don't know why he didn't come in. Timing, whatever. His last doctor's appointment after all these results are going, I don't know. The doctor's like, you should go get a massage. Do you know anybody? He's like, I actually do. you
Well,
know?
my son, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, he probably won't
He,
even charge me any money to do it.
yeah. So he
This is
comes in.
exciting for you. Yeah.
He comes in. He's like, and then I'm like following him, like, oh my God, what's going on? Are you like cancer free? What's, like, what, is, I look at him and he takes this wallet out that's like this thick. And I'm like, puts it on the counter. I go, are you, and he's working at that time. Now he's doing something different. He's working, sitting all day. And I'm like, you're not sitting on that wallet, right? Like that's like 3 inches. That's like a 3-inch thick level. You're sitting. Are you sitting on that all day? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that has to stop. That's probably
Right.
the worst thing you could do to your body. And he's like, is that why I have back pain? I'm like, well, I
Might
would
be.
start there. I'm like,
Right.
I would start there, work on him for 3 sessions. Hasn't had pain since. Simple, easy stuff, working out tissue. After, like if you think about like that's not just raising your hip, it's causing you to con- subconsciously tighten that glute, so then that thing isn't pushing into the tissue all day. So you have to
Hmm.
tighten it for it doesn't go in there. And I'm like, how come you didn't think that was you thought that was normal? So
Yeah, that's it. They don't really know. And I think something that you're landing on, and I'm curious what your take is, because my background, I started out in neuromuscular therapy. And when I got myself into pain, I had foot pain that I woke up with one day and I was like, oh, I stepped on a piece of glass. And what started out as a diagnosis of plantar fasciitis turned into this body wide ache and fatigue I couldn't shake. And I just remember thinking, plantar fasciitis, what the hell is inflamed fascia? How do you fix that stuff? So, what's
exactly.
your take on fascia? And in your school, are you educating your students on any of the updated research over the last 25 years about fascia and its connection not only to our physical form but our emotional states, our movement potential, how we live and breathe?
Yeah, we watched the Fuzz speech. I don't know if you're
Yes, my
familiar
dear
with
friend
that.
Gil Headley.
Yeah, I put them through that class. We do pretty much a full day of just what is yeah, because you can't touch the body without affecting it. So it's a big part of what we do here, and that it is all tied in. Like you can't avoid it. It's there. It is the webbing of our body. We go through Tom Myers anatomy trains. Not that there's a course or anything, but I kind of bring it on slideshows. Like you got to understand that it's there's muscle, there's bone, there's this neurological pulley system that we have, and then there's fascia, which is now not just this webbing that we toss away, but we are actually just, if we could actually get it to, it would probably be one of the biggest organs of the body if we were to actually recognize it in that way, and that it is probably causing most of your clients' issues if you were to work on it in a certain way. So you can see my point, like all this white stuff here, that's got 1,000 more neural sensors on it than just the thick red muscles. So you want to affect from there outward,
Mm.
and teaching these therapists and opening their minds to a new way of looking, is exactly what we do teach that. I'm very important in our trying to explain what this body does, and that it is a masterpiece of just it wanting to be in homeostasis, and we just have to guide our clients to it,
That's
right?
right.
I mean, and
That's
that's
right.
basically what we're doing, is just helping them become aware of things they're not aware of, right? That's a
That's right.
subconscious contraction where we just need them to connect in a way that no you how do you know if you're relaxed? You can do yoga, you can meditate, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? But how do you know what true relaxation is? How do you know if you're actually there? Well, we can do that in 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I can help you instantly get there
Hmm.
and teach. And then if you're not there, well, then we teach you how to get there better and better and better and better. And it's
That's
just a
well
matter of
said.
time. It's just a choice. If you want a
That's
deep
right.
breath, what do you have to do first? What's the first thing that has to happen with a deep breath?
You
Oh,
got to
it's a
breathe
choice.
in.
Well,
Take a
you have to choose to take it,
yeah.
right? It's a
Yeah,
choice every
consciously.
time.
You're taking over a
It's
neurological thing that's doing it all the time for us. And if you consciously take over breath, that's a
right.
different neural pathway and that can change everything. You're right.
That makes that switch, right? So
Sure.
getting this body work, anytime you get body work, you are now in that ability to make that switch where you're not in this, you're in the now, right? That choice is now, right? I chose to be doing this breath, or I choose to relax. It's the same choice. You just never choose it because you don't know you have the choice. When's the last time your arm moved without you using muscles to move it? How do you know if you are truly relaxed? Well,
Hmm.
we help you perceive that. If you can't perceive it, then how do you achieve it? Right? So that is the one of the most important things I think a human body could ever do. And you need a therapist to teach you how to do that, how to find it, look for it, teach it, embed it in there. And then if you just practice oh, but if you don't know this is a choice, we say relax, but relax. Okay, well, this is what I think
What
is
do you
relax.
mean relax? Am I not relaxed? No.
Right. No,
Right.
you're not. And
Not
this, if
really.
you can just emphasize, there's so many people that have just been so disconnected with that. Now,
Yeah.
is that their fascia holding them in the air? Is it is it pain? Is it emotion?
Yes, all of it.
Right. So if I can just help you connect to, and it doesn't have to be because you got yelled at when you're 7, or you got in a car wreck when you're 12, or whatever. You just have the power to go and relax, then we clear all that. And if you now that you know it's there, if you choose it more and more and more, you're on a that's going to get better circulation, better range of motion. It's not going to be so sticky with fascia in a sense, right? It's going to have
Mhm.
that kind of life to it because you talked to it. You told it to not be so tense. You are in control. It's a powerful thing once somebody just recognizes true body work. We can call it neuromuscular myofascia, call it
Call
whatever.
it whatever
It,
you want.
but if somebody can come in here, learn how to relax, truly learn how to relax, in a matter of minutes by choosing it, just like breath work, I think that if we, that's kind of what if we could just get them there, then all of those modalities from all the best, then they make sense. Now I can do this, or now I can do this. Now I can lengthen. Now I can stretch. Now I can go deep. Now we can do some reset stuff. But if you can't do this,
Mhm.
how can I do any of those techniques? That is the most important thing. And usually that's like 80, 90% of the problem.
Yeah,
We clear.
exactly. You're saying so many things here. If I'm hearing everything that you're saying, right, John, is really the first step in breaking free from patterns of discomfort, chronic pain, whatever you want to call it, is attuning awareness and realizing that you consciously have a lot more potential to change what's going on in, we could call it the subconscious, the unconscious, the body system, that we actually have a lot more control than I think we give the body credit for. We just
Yeah.
need to be able to break through those, I guess, blocks that you're talking about that are maintaining that high stress state. So that's really the first step, is the awareness, right?
Right? That's the very, very first. That's the perceive relaxation first. Know that you have the capability of talking to that glute and telling it not to be so tight, right?
Mhm.
It happens occasionally on your own, but it's because it's been here for like months or years. Well, we want to teach from, no circulation, no good movement is going to come from this. But
That's
instead
right.
of months and years, we can do it in minutes and moments. And you go, oh wait, shit, I don't want to be there.
Yeah,
I
education
choose
is really
not to
the
be there.
first step, right? Education. We need to educate our clients. That, and I know you call your place the fix therapy, but the person that's fixing themselves is themselves. That it's not you. We're like more a doorway to get people
We're
to
a
be
conduit
like
of it.
here, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We're conduits towards it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can
then
you?
once
Sorry.
they do,
Mhm.
sorry, once they do that, then we have all this, the fix is functional, innovative synergy, right? So it's Like, what is functional in your life? How are you moving through life? What environment are you in that's causing this? Can you control it? Yes, you have to sit all day for work. Can you get up? But just being aware all day long of this and how it's affecting you, you have control over it. That's that functional, right? Life, movement, and how are you moving through life? How your environment you live in, right? Innovative is where we kind of have our technology, infrared light therapy, hyperbarics, infrared sauna, right? Lights and hyperbarics add energy to the body, right? Massive amount of energy. Lights have their own way of doing it. Hyperbaric has its own. We can go into individual. The sauna, heat therapy, stuff like that helps you move energy, right? So getting the body to functionally move, getting it aware, getting it moving so it's loose, and then add a bunch of oxygen energy into all these new open air, your new life, right? The new you, right? And then doing this is all bio. This is all like where you don't even have to do anything. You can get a cardiovascular workout in a sauna as if you were running, miles without having to move a muscle. Your
Yeah,
body
just by breathing and being in
and
there and
yeah,
focusing on breathing.
it's
And it's so
it's a
novel.
cardiovascular workout.
Mhm.
When's the last time you ran 3 miles without having to move? That's a
Right.
different way of sweating. It's a different type of exercise. Um, it's a beautiful thing when you can get people to detox, sweat, push all that stuff out. I mean, that's a big thing we teach is the lymphatic system of which I think you had a guest. We Dr. Who's that? Nick Perry, the
Yeah,
stop
Perry
pain.
Nicholson. Yeah, yeah,
Oh
stop
my God, I
pain.
love that
I
guy.
know he's
He's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah,
So
he's
I
great.
teach. I love that. We show the deep six to our students. I think it's the best effective way of teaching people lymphatics. The
Simple, right?
quickest, that's so simple.
So
Um,
simple.
but
I always
if
think
you
that most of the time, simple solutions work the best. I think people overcomplicate their problems. I have clients who come in who have been to therapists before and they're like, oh, I got the psoas is the problem and my this and it's the that and I blah, blah. Oh, and my center of gravity is in a different place. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, did somebody tell you that?
right,
Yeah, and I think to myself, sometimes therapists can do a disservice by telling somebody what they believe it is and that they're going to fix that thing. And then when they can't, now suddenly they're like, well, even the person who knew exactly what it
unfixable.
was. Yeah,
Right,
I'm unfixable. It's
right,
too many times, and I honestly think that therapists need to check their egos at the door and let the client lead the way rather than the
exactly.
therapist. It's a
No,
much better approach.
no ego. There's too much in every industry for that. I
Indeed.
think clients also want to be told. Like I hear this all the time. Oh well, when I got my X-rays, they told me that was the worst I've ever seen. I was the worst. You're like, okay, you want a reward? Like,
Those
like,
words.
yeah. Oh well,
Yeah,
they
the
said.
doctor said
My
to my
other
mom,
therapist tells me. Go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
my mom had a femoral surgery. And when we went back to the doctor 3 weeks after, I was like, something is horribly wrong with this surgery. I said to him, I kind of dragged the tissue and it's like something's clicking in there. Is it possible that a screw could get loose? And he literally went, that surgery is perfect. My surgery is perfect. It's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. 50% of people make it out fine and 50% don't. And I was like, that sounds like a really bad track record. And in the end, what happened? It was broken. The screw came loose and her leg broke and
Oh my
she was walking
God.
around on that for 6 weeks. And then when he saw her back and he saw what it was, he was like, I've never seen this before ever. I'm like, really? My mom's the first? Well, I'm so excited that my mother got to be your first fuck up, but how do we fix this now? I mean, like, honestly, like, really? My mom's the first person that you've seen a bad surgery. I have a hard time believing you. How many
Right,
surgeries have you done? And this is the first, I doubt it, right? So
right.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of ego, and I think that there's a lot of great solutions for the physical form if we just get out of the way and let the body heal itself. And I think
Yes.
that's a big
Yeah,
message.
I think clients they tend to emotionally keep themselves in the loop of
That's
pain
it.
and just like,
That's it.
oh
We
well,
tie an emotion
I
to a
I
physical pain, we're screwed.
I have a bulging disc, so that's got to be the problem. Like, well, no, doesn't necessarily have just because you have one doesn't
Right.
mean you have
That's the
pain, right?
problem.
You're
Yeah,
right.
into
So
that.
just because this is in a lot of pain when we teach the students like a lot of pain is an outcome from something else.
That's right.
Like like oh my hip hurts. Well, why does your hip hurt? Not just, okay, well, here's what's in your hip. Oh, is your foot turned out? Are you sitting a certain way? Do you have something in what's going on in the upper body? It's just like if you just talk fascia, if you have a knot here, right? You turn this adhesion here. Well, are you going to feel it right here? No, you probably feel it from all the pull from somewhere else, right? So it's hardly ever pain is the source, unless, like you said earlier, unless there's an injury, an acute injury. I just fell down or something like that. But usually pain is the outcome from something somewhere else.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's so
So
simple.
it is, just take a simple approach to the body, help educate your clients that they're not, in this, like, that everything is better. I show a video, and I don't know the technical name for it, but if you were to break your arm, you know, and then these guys doing like circus tricks because they never got it fixed, and they can swing their arm like in a circle. It is kind of horrible to look at. But my point of it is that, and they can move their hands, they can use their wrist, they have good circulation. There's technically nothing wrong with them. In fact, the body formed two separate joints.
Yeah,
And
the
now,
body will heal itself however it
and
needs
now
to move.
they can be a circus trick, right? But the whole point of that, and I show that to the students, like some of these videos of people actually doing this, and I'm like, that's how resilient the body is.
Yeah,
Think about how long did that person have to live through life to get to the point where he can show you some crazy trick that only he can do,
that's it.
like, because he didn't get it fixed.
That's
I'm
it.
like, the body, depending on the mindset, like, I'm sure that doesn't feel good, but he can do it at will. Rock his arm in a circle. Like, that had to take years for him to be able, or that person to be able to move their arm that way. I was like, people can get better no matter what their situation is,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's nice. Yeah, the body is designed to heal and heal it well no matter what. I think that's a top answer for everything, I think.
Yeah.
So,
So
John, if somebody wants to find you, they want to go to Fix Therapy. Maybe it's that, what signs should they look for in their own body that indicate they might really benefit from your approach and coming to see you?
yeah, I would say, like, if you're just been stuck in chronic pain, if you feel like you have tension, anxiety, that you're kind of I like to say a quiet mind is a relaxed body,
Mhm.
right? So if that mind is just never in the present moment, if you just want to know how disconnected you are from your own body, right? Like, have you ever relaxed your arm? Like, how do you know if you feel like you've never reached true relaxation or consciousness and you want to get there faster, or if you're very good at it and you want to know, like, I think I'm relaxed, we can just say, well, here's a simple test. Here's a simple series of assessments. Body work is probably the best thing a human body can get. I think every time you get body work, it's like a full stem cell treatment,
Oh
right?
yeah, I love getting body work, and I was lucky enough to live in New York City for most of my life, and so I've had thousands of epic practitioners, and now I'm in Naples, Florida. I'm like, where is everybody? I need my people. Tell everybody, John, where can they find the Fix Therapy and find out more about
Well, we're in Vieira, Melbourne, or Melbourne, or Space Coast, where they're launching out of all this. There's near Cocoa Beach.
you? Mhm.
But or basically the fixtherapy.com is the fastest way to me. And then we have the Facebook and all that other stuff too.
I love that. The next time I'm over in Melbourne, I'm going to look you up. I'm going to come into your clinic for a session. So, John, I ask everybody the same question on Anatomical Gangster at the end. I'm going to pose this one to you. If you could tell somebody something that you've learned in your lifetime that completely changed the way that you saw the human experience, it got you out of the way of whatever the problem was, and if they learned about it, it may very well change the course of their life, what would it be?
Wow. Uh, how many words do I get?
As many as
So
you need.
I would say our motto is live life aware, right? Enjoy the first, right? Is this the moment I've never done before? I'm going to be in this moment longer, right? Enjoy your first, live life aware. That's probably, if you can do that, keep everybody in the moment, you're going to be very successful in life for yourself and for your clients.
That is beautiful. Yeah, I mean, everything happens in the present moment. Get yourself out of the past and the future, and you're going to live more abundantly. I totally dig that. Well, John, again, thank you so much for being on Anatomical Gangster. For those of you guys who are listening, remember, click the subscribe button, share this with your friends. And of course, if you're over in Melbourne, I would tell you to go see John. And until I see you again, stay healthy, stay curious, and we will see you on the next podcast.
Awesome. Thank you.
Be well.